Okay, hello. Good morning to everybody. We are going to start with it's more informative, right? It's an informative session where you can have a clearer idea about what is TKT. That means the Teaching Knowledge Test and the TKT course. That's what we are going to work today on, right? Let's see. So what is TKT? What do you know about TKT? Any idea? You can tell that in Spanish, no problem if you mention ideas in English or Spanish.
It's a kind of certification for being an English teacher.
Okay, it's a kind of certification for being an English teacher, not exactly.
Okay.
Yes, for train yourself in methodology to be a better English teacher. Yes, this is for methodology. Okay, somebody else have another idea? Not really? When we
Teaching means
yes, Cesar?
teaching knowledge test.
Exactly. This is teaching knowledge test. But is this knowledge connected with grammar, vocabulary, level of English? What do you think? Because it says teaching knowledge test.
It's
Is
about more about methodology.
Yes, that's why I emphasize teaching, right?
Okay.
Because you can have lots of knowledge in grammatical structures. You can handle lists and lists of lexes. But how I use all my knowledge in order to show my students that they can accomplish that knowledge, right? So teaching knowledge tests is not really an evaluation of your accuracy in grammatical structures, right? It's not a language proficiency test. So they are not going to evaluate like the B2 or the C1 level, no. It's not a test of classroom performance. It's not how you are going to move around the class, if you monitor or not. No, it's not something specific. It's really the combination of your knowledge of the language and the performance in your class. So how you connect and how you link everything. And it's offered internationally, right? Because you will have a recognition internationally. In Cambridge ISO quality assurance procedure. So it means that through your different exams, you will manage specific moments in what is a class development, okay? So now, who is TKT for? Any idea? Who can take the exam? Don't worry, Milagritos, you are here. Who is TKT for? Just for English teachers, for students, for everybody?
I think for teachers and educators.
Teachers and educators, okay. So, for pre-service teachers and for experienced teachers, but educators, right? It's not open for engineers. It's not open, yeah? Maybe they can face it, but obviously what they are going to manage in this exam is not connected with their career. Is no formal entry requirements. So it doesn't mean that you need to a C1 level in order to take your TKT. Or maybe you are an A2 level. No problem. The idea is that you understand all the different structures, ideas, there's tasks that you need to develop. For teachers of primary, secondary, and adult learners. So is for all the teachers that want to face this experience. It could be primary, secondary, or adults. Or kindergarten, why not, right? But it's mostly for primary, secondary, and adults, because there is one TKT, young learners, that is exclusive for kindergarten and primary level. But this is part of a TKT. Now, let's check. What do you need to handle in this evaluation? Yes. Oh, my goodness. So we have 3 modules to cover. So there are 3 different modules in the evaluation. So what does it mean? That you are going to get 3 certificates. The first module is focused on language and background to language learning and teaching. Then we are going to explain in detail what it's going to be about. The exam takes 1 hour, 20 minutes. So it's a long exam. And it covers 3 parts, and all these parts are 80 objective questions. Yes? So imagine 1 hour, 20, and you need to answer 80 questions. Then in the second module, you have lesson planning and use of resources for language teaching. So here's lesson plans. 1 hour, 20 minutes as well. And here you have 2 parts with 80 objective questions. Up to here, you had 2 hours, 40 minutes, right? And the other exam or the other module is managing the teaching and learning process. It's another 1 hour, 20, and it also has 2 parts with 80 objective questions. So imagine almost 4 hours is this exam. So you need to concentrate a lot. It's not difficult, but what is necessary is to get some strategies in reading, because you need to read a lot. Okay, so it's just preparing and rehearsing. Really, it's a lot of reading. Reading during the class, reading before. So in the different moments, you need to read a lot. Any question up to here? Yes, Maria. Your microphone.
Yeah. 2 questions. 2 questions. The first one is, you have to take the 3 modules in just 1 day?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. And when you say 3 parts with 80 objective questions, you mean 240 questions?
Exactly.
Oh.
That's
but
why I say you need to read a lot.
yeah, less than
It's exhausting, but it's
less
rewarding.
than a minute. Less than a minute for each question, no? Yes, because we have
Yes.
only 80 minutes.
80 minutes, right. But
For
it's possible to do it. Yes, it's possible. That's why you need to practice a lot, working on keywords and key ideas.
okay.
In many cases, teachers face the 3 modules. Yes, why? Because if sometimes you take module 1 and then you say, oh, then next month, module 2, then no, it won't happen. To be realistic, right? If we suffer, we need to suffer once. That's it. That's why we need to prepare ourselves to be ready for that moment, right? Now, we said module 1, language and background to language learning and teaching, yes? Here in this part, we are going to describe language and language skills. What is it about? Any idea?
A part of the speech, maybe.
Okay, definitely. They are part of the speech. Like, for example, grammar, lexis, phonology, functions, skills, and sub-skills. Right? So we need to match everything. Because sometimes we just teach, grammar, but what grammar is about, right? Lexis, what do we need to focus on lexis? Phonology is not just repeating words or intonation. Functions, what are the functions of the language? Formal, informal, right? For agreeing, disagreeing, refusing. So we need to know everything. Module 1 is the longest. There are a lot of things to cover. For example, in part 1 is describing language and language skills, right? For example, here, let's have an exercise. Describe language, this is grammar, yes? And says for question 1.5, match the example sentence with the grammatical term listed AF. Mark the correct letter, AF, on your answer sheet. There is one extra option which you don't need to match or to use. I give you some minutes to do that matching.
Okay, Miss.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, for me, 1F.
1F.
1F, 2E, 3 is B, 4 is A, and 5 is E. Oh, sorry.
You have C and you have D.
Yes, 5D. 5 is D.
5 is D.
For me.
What about the rest? Everybody agrees? Yes? So then I realized what had happened. Past perfect simple. Many old houses are made of good. Present simple passive. We've never seen a whale before. Present perfect simple. He doesn't like playing chess. Gerund. He said he was really upset. Report speech. Do you agree? Yes?
I agree.
Let's see. 1F, 2E, 3B, 4A, and 5D. Okay? So this is part of what? Grammar. Yes? That's what we are going to work in our classes. to recognize different grammatical structures. And as well, it's important to practice because our students need to recognize this in a text, in a piece of reading, and what are the functions of these grammatical terms, right? Then the module 2, that is language and background to language learning and teaching. Also, we have background to language learning, exposure to language and focus on form, the role of error, motivation, differences between L1 and L2 language learning, learning characteristics and needs. And this is something that we need to consider, these two topics a lot. Differences between L1 and L2. What is L1?
Our mother tongue,
Which one, Maria? Sorry.
the language we speak.
Exactly, the mother tongue.
The
The mother tongue, right? That's
yes.
what you mentioned. So
Yeah.
in this case is Spanish for us. And L2 is,
In this case, English.
in this case, English.
Yeah,
Yes, because
right.
there are other schools that
I agree.
teach French, Italian, and other languages. Okay? Always L1 is Spanish or the language that you have in your country. And this is the language that you are learning, right? And there are some differences. How we learned? Well, differences and similitudes, as we say, right? Now, learned characteristics and needs. What do you think we need to consider in those characteristics?
If they are young learners, teenagers, or adults.
Exactly. So, because it's not the same to teach to kindergarten, primary, secondary, or young adults, right? Every group has different needs. For example, if I am going to apply lot of concrete material, for what group is this correct? Concrete material.
For youngers.
Youngers. If I'm going to use games, for everybody maybe, right?
Yeah, means for everybody.
Depending of what kind of game.
Depending the level also,
Yes.
the level.
If I want discussions, I want to work on discussions. I think more secondary level, right?
Yeah.
Because they handle structures, vocabulary, and many things, right? Let's see. Now, we have the third part, background to language teaching, introductory activities, presentation techniques, practice activities, tasks for language and skill development, assessment, types, and tasks. So remember, module 1 is the longest, and we have to cover 3 important big areas. Now, presentation techniques. What do we need to pay attention on this? Presentation techniques. Maybe that no verbal communication, right? Because our students memorize things, or sometimes we memorize things. But in order to present, there are some routines, and there are some nonverbal communication like eye contact, right? Voice projection, body movement, things that we need to consider here. Practice activities. How many moments in the activities? Control, semi-control, free practice, right? During the activities. Tasks for language and skills development. Remember, when we prepare our lesson plans, we need to consider a skill lesson plan and system lesson plan. What about the system? What are the systems of the language? Because always we say skills, listening, reading, writing, yes, speaking. But what about the language, the skills, so the functions of the system? We have in our textbooks, it's something that starts. When we open the unit, most of the case, we have a unit opener, and then comes what?
For grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation.
Exactly. Grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and discourse.
Discourse.
Discourse are the functions of the language. Yes. So if I want to ask for permission, what kind of language I'm going to use? If I want to refuse something, what kind of structure I need to apply? Even if I want to greet somebody in a formal or informal way, what kind of language I'm going to use? So this is part of task for language and skill development.
Formal and informal, yes, miss?
Yes, Milagritos, formal and informal, right? It's not the same to greet a friend than to greet the principal at school, right? So also it's important to consider what kind of language we are going to use in a specific moment. Assessment types and tasks. What kind of assessment we have, and the differences between assessment and evaluation, right? Then we have the module 2, lesson planning and use of resources for language teaching. According to our schools, we manage different things. Some of them are focused on international ideas, and some of them are according to our own culture, right? Because internationally speaking, when we plan a lesson, we need to consider other details, not exactly what we handle at school. That's why planning and preparing a lesson of sequence of lessons is very important in Module 2. We need to consider the PPP, the presentation, practice, production, the TTT. Have you ever heard about the TTT? Test, teach, test. Or the TBL, task-based learning. Okay? And for every single lesson plan, you need different startings, different sequences. And that's what we need to check, because it's not the same to prepare a PPP lesson, that is what we use in our schools, than to prepare a TTT lesson, a test, yes, teach, test lesson, or a system lesson, because my purpose is to teach vocabulary or grammar or pronunciation or discourse. It's not the same to like and skill. It's totally different. And here in the lesson planning, we are going to identify and select aims. We have main aims, subsidiary aims, personal aims, because according to this lesson, international lesson plan, also we as human beings, as teachers, we need also to have aims in our lessons. For example, I'm working too much TTT, teacher talking time. Yes, like for example, I observed once in one school, and the teacher says, let's invent a name. Miss Teresita say yes, so Miss Teresita says no. Oh, Miss Teresita says yes. So she asks and she answers. And it was incredible. There was no chance for the students to say anything. Yes, so Miss Teresita asked, answered, controls, and did all the class. And the students were like with zipper, right? The components of a lesson plan, what are the components? Yes, so the material, the time, the resources, the aims, the interaction patterns. A lesson plan itself, a model of lesson plan. How to select and choose the activities according to our sequence. how to evaluate and assess our students through the process. Yes. And in a lesson planning also is the selection and use of resources and materials, because it's important. Sometimes we have 5 hours, but we select a material of 5 hours. And what happens here? We don't have time to recycle the language because we are running, yes? My book is for 5 hours and I have 5-hour course. So in what moment I do extra activities like projects, like the development of soft skills, or how can I implement CLIL or STEAM in my lessons. I don't do that because I don't have time. So that's why it's important the selection of your resources. Or I choose a worksheet connected with budgets, and my topic is television only. So there is no matching. So also we need to have some criteria to select my material. Or what kind of reference resources I need to share with my students. Yes? How to select your course book. How to select your supplementary material. What kind of teaching aids you need to select, right? Because it's our responsibility as teachers. What kind of things to select? That's why during the lessons, we are going to say, aha, this is correct, this is not correct. I'm doing well my job, right? And here we have some practice. Match the instructions for the assessment task with the assessment aims listed AH. There is one extra option. I'm going to give you some minutes, yes, to do the matching. Okay, you ready? Not yet? Okay, let's see. Use the notes to make complete sentence. Put the verbs into the correct form. What letter could you think or could we match?
Letter D.
Okay, to check grammatical knowledge. Okay, because let's use the notes to make complete sentence. Okay, choose the correct headings for each paragraph.
Letter H.
To assess guess reading or just reading their age. Oh, it's kind of strange, right? Later I will clear this and I'm going to write again. Letter H, right. Reply to the advertisement explaining why you are the best person for the job.
Letter E, to assess writing skills.
Assess writing skills, right? Because you need to convince, right? Find the words in the text which match the following definitions. Or it's
Letter
Letter
C.
C.
letter C. Also, we need to check. What is the key word? It says definitions, immediately I associate vocabulary, right? Discuss the problem with your partner and try to find the solution. Discuss the problem with your partner and try to find the solution. If we say discuss,
Letter A.
J. J, Miss J.
letter A.
A, because
We are
it's
not working functions, we are working fluency. Choose the most appropriate response for each of the following situations. This is
letter
Letter
G.
G.
here is letter G, right?
G. Mhm.
Why? Situations. If I have situations, I need to work with a specific functions, right? And then listen and underline the word that the speaker says most strongly. This is letter
B.
Letter B. To assess accurate pronunciation.
Letter F.
It's letter F. To check awareness of stress,
Yeah.
right? Because says listen and underline the word that the speaker says most. So stress, right? We're working with stress. Now let's see if our ideas are correct or not. Let's see. 1D, 2H, 3E, 4C, 5A, 6G, and 7F. Yes, great. So as I told you, we need to read a lot and we need to rehearse or to train ourselves on keywords, right? Keywords that help us to discover what is the correct answer. So we need to pay attention sometimes in one word, two words, one verb that connects the idea. So this is connected with assessment, right? Now, we had the module number 3, that is managing the teaching and learning process. This part 1 of module 3 is teachers and learners' language in the classroom. So what kind of language we are going to work? Functions of teacher language. Functions of learner language. Categorize learners' mistakes. It's an error, it's a mistake, it's a slip, because not all the mistakes are the same. For example, a slip is when my student says, she can work. No, she can work. Yes, maybe because it's not focused, it's not concentrated, I made a mistake. But immediately, she recognizes the problem and work on that, right? And we need to categorize the different mistakes. Also, we need to work part 2, that is classroom management. Nowadays, it's a big deal for teachers, right? So what is the teacher role in the classroom management? Who can tell me? Is it important? Is it not important? What do you think? If my class is a mess, a completely disorder, my students are yelling, moving, are not paying attention, whose fault is this? Students' fault? Teachers' fault? Institution fault? Whose fault is
Yes,
this?
the classroom management is very important because the learners can't understand or learn the lesson if they are playing in the class.
Yes. If they are not paying attention, obviously they are not going to understand. And it says, Miss, can you repeat again? Miss, ¿qué se hacía after 20 minutes, right? And what we want is to kill them. The time is almost finishing and they are, Miss, ¿qué se hacía? Yes. And it was 20 minutes that they were doing nothing. So it's important that the teacher controls everything. How to work with ICQ, with CCQs. Yes. So ICQs, what are ICQs? ICQs. What about CCQs? What are CCQs and ICQs? Let's put it here. In classroom management, it's very important, ICQs and CCQs. No idea? Somebody? If I say, okay, students, now we're going to work in groups. Group of 4, now, please listen and pay attention. First, you have to do this. Second, do this, this, and this. And then I start asking, what do you have to do first? What do you have to do second? What do you think is this? ICQ or CCQ? Instructions, yes? So this is number 1. Instructions. Instruction checking questions. I need to check my instructions. That's why my student spend a long time doing nothing because they don't understand. And I didn't confirm. What do you have to do first? What do you have to do second? Do I have to listen? Do I have to repeat? Do I have to circle? Yes, so this is important. ICQs. And then number 2, the CCQs. I need to check concept. Concept checking questions. It's only one, yes? This is concept checking question. Concept checking question. See, ICQs, no, CCQs. I'm crazy, sorry. CCQs, right? I check concept. So how to use the grammar. For example, I'm going to write. She doesn't like soup. And says, they don't like soup. So how can I check CCQ? Do I use an auxiliary for negative? Yes, miss. Is the auxiliary the same for he, she, it than are you with they? No. What is the auxiliary for he, she, it? Doesn't for negative and don't for the rest. Is it necessary to add the S for he, she, it? No. Why? Because I have my auxiliary, right? So this is concept checking question. Oh, I erase. Okay, I need to confirm if my students understood the rule, okay? And this is important in the teacher's role. Now, we have this. For question 1.5, look at the following situations and 3 possible things a teacher could say. Choose the most appropriate ABC. So we have situations which could be the best solution. I give you some minutes, okay? Okay, let's try to do it. In a class of primary children of 9 and 10 years of age, the learners are finishing a pair word task. The teacher wants to check the answer with the class. Which do you think could be the correct solution? What's the answer to the number 1? Hands up, please. Can any of you possibly tell me what you think might be the answer for the first question? Answer?
I think 1 is letter A.
So letter A is the suitable answer. Because here is very formal, right? Letter B is very formal for a student. And letter C is very rude. Answer, right? Because also it's important that our intonation, okay. In a class of teenagers in their second year of English, the teacher have just presented a new grammatical structure and wants to check that the learners understand the meaning. Does everyone understand? Who can give me an example sentence? Please explain the meaning. Which is the best?
I think letter B.
Okay, you think letter B?
Letter B.
Yes. Who can give me an example? So in that way, I'm double check if they understood, right? A group of businessmen are doing a discussion activity. The teacher notices a learner has made a mistake and says, "That's wrong." But answer, is that quite right? Which is the perfect one?
Letter C, I think.
Letter
Yes.
C, I think.
Yeah, it's more polite, right? Imagine, because they are businessmen. If you go to, yes, those private lessons that you give to managers, it's not possible to say, to say like, "That's wrong." Yes, so we need to be polite. In a class of other learners of mixed levels, the teacher is giving the first instruction for a complex group activity. You all know what to do, so you can start. First, get into the groups you were in yesterday. Oh, here's a handout for the activity you can start. So which is the best way to reorganize my group?
I think letter B means first.
Yes. Everybody agrees? Letter B is the suitable one.
I think it's letter C for number 4, no?
Yes.
No.
Here is a handout for the activity you can start, okay? Let's mark the 2 possibilities and then we check and we reflect. The teacher is telling a story to a class of a very young primary learner who have only been learning English for 1 month. Here's a little boy, look, one day. This is a story about a little boy who used to live in a city. The stories are very important for you. They will help you learn new grammar.
Letter A, miss.
Okay, so inductively you're trying to insert the topic. Somebody has another idea? No? Let's check the answers. 1A, 2B, 3C, 4B, 4B, and 5A. Why it's not possible to consider letter C? Who can tell me? Here's the handout for the activity. You can start. Why it's not possible?
Because the teacher is not explaining, giving the instruction.
Exactly. There was no previous explanation, right? So imagine if you give the handouts and you say, you can start. And the student will say, but yesterday we were working in groups. How can we organize again? How we're gonna do? there are going to be lots of questions. But if you first, okay, please put in groups. Yesterday you were working in groups, sit together, and then you start the explanation, right? So they can support in the groups if they didn't understand something. So this is more or less what we are going to work in our different sessions, right? What is necessary to know? The grades, right? You're going to get this. It's not maybe like the FC, like the C1, TKT, it's different. You get bands. You get from 1 to 4. Obviously, we want 3 or 4. But if you have 1 or 2, it's not bad, but remember, if you get band 1, it means limited knowledge. Band 2, basic but systematic. But if you get band 3, it's breadth and depth. Obviously, if you get band 4, it means that you have extensive knowledge of the methodology. And what is it about? Check the percentages that means to get those bands, right? And this is good. It's a summary of the results. So it's important to answer all the questions. You're not going to lose any point. Yes, Maria.
For band 4, the percentage is lesser than for band 3?
Yes. So what does it mean? Is summary of result means that many teachers get these bands. So just 0.1% of teachers get band 1.
Oh.
Yes. So here, band 3, I think 57.6% of teachers get band 3.
More than a half.
Yes, more than a half. And it's good because it means that they have a good level of methodology and they can apply different techniques, right? This is what you get, teaching knowledge tests, and you get 3 certificates, 1 per module. And this is how you can see. Juan Ernesto Bustamante has been awarded Band 4 in TKT Module 1. The same is TKT Module 2, and they mention what the module is about. Because as you can see, every module has specific topics, right? And it's important to, at the end, to get the 3 ones because you are covering lesson planning, managing resources, general idea about language. So you are covering 3 important aspects of the exam. This is the book that we can find in the market, right? This is a TKT course. Start questions and answer always. Key concepts, you can find it. Key concepts and the language teaching classroom. When you register to our course, I think you are going to have this. They are going to share with you the material. Follow-up activities. There is a lot of reflection because in the TKT, you need to reflect a lot about the different methodologies that we can apply in specific moments, right? Let me show you. This is a TKT book. Okay, so for example, this is the TKT book. It's not really clear, but I have it. Yes, it's a PDF. And this is what you need to cover. You are going to have explanations about grammar, lexis, phonology, functions, reading, writing, listening, everything. Yes, according to the 3 parts of the module 1. According to module 2, you have planning and preparing, selection and use of resources. And then you have the module 3, yes, that you have 2 parts, teachers and learners language in the classroom, classroom management. And in this book, you are going to find definitions. There are some situations and suggestions that how to handle everything, right? Introductions. You're going to have definitions, explanations, and as well some exercises and reflection and activities that you can continue reinforcing. They propose something to read, right? And you have some practice. And this is important. So every single part have this. Another material that you can apply is this University of Cambridge. They provide you a TKT workbook. But when you register to our course, I'm able to share this material with you. Yes, you have lots of practice, describing language, right? For example, this exclamation, you have sentences, and in the sentences, you need to discover what part of the speech you are working with. Yes, for example, she. What is she? What is always? What is furniture? And that's very important to practice. This exam is based on practice, practice and practice. Exercises that will help you to discover different structures, right? Different methods as well. Okay? You can have discover activities, TKT practice, the 3 modules, and all what you need to know connected with the exam. You can reduce teaching to a lot of objective questions. Yes, you can reduce. Yes. Isn't the language level rather low for many teachers? Not really. Teaching and learning are complex processes. Isn't this kind of approach just reductive and tribalism? Not really, depending how we apply it. It's all matching tasks. Not everything is matching tasks. There are some situations, and according to the situations, you have to analyze some things, right? Why not pass or fail like this? Everyone passes, don't they? Everybody passes. The band is the thing that is going to make the differences, right? According to the band, it means that you are expert or not in the matter. This is what we have, some handbooks and some material that Cambridge University give us. And these are the things that we are going to work in every single module, right? This course is going to be 8 different sessions. And we are going to cover, in some cases, depending how long are the topics, we are going to cover in 1 or in 2 sessions the topics. So this is how we organize the different modules, right? And we're going to have full of practice. Theory, practice, analysis, and I'm going to provide you extended links where you can continue practicing a little more. It's just reading. It's not difficult. It takes time. And it takes a little more practicing and practicing and practicing. But it's easy because it's part of our performance in class. So we are accustomed to do these things. Maybe we don't know exactly the name, but here we are going to match our practice with the name, yes, or definitions, or we are going to reorganize our ideas. That's the purpose, right? So the course is going to be Saturdays. Yes, we have 8 sessions, and it's very important that you start and finish. Because some teachers start with a lot of excitement and then, yes, they say, no, I have a lot of things to do at work. No, I have, so excuses. Because when we want to do something, we need to start or finish and accomplish our objective. That's the idea, teachers. And I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you in whatever you need. Okay? If you want to start the course with us, just contact to the WhatsApp where you get the link. Just write in there and you can register to our course. Yes? I'm going to have the pleasure to teach you, to help you, to support you through all the process. And we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to share experiences. That is very important because you have experience in your different institutions where you have worked. And maybe we can take those experiences to match with different moments in what is that TKT preparation course, right? Any question? Maria?
Yes,
Eh,
first one.
Yes,
Are you going to be the teacher?
I'm going to be the teacher.
And second one, if when you say that you're going to give us the books, the two books, no, the TKT course and the TKT
Mhm.
workbook, and it will be included in the price of the
Yes,
of
yes,
the
it's
course.
going to be included because we share the material, right?
Okay.
Yes, okay. Is there another question? Was everything crystal clear? Yes? Okay. It was my pleasure. I hope to see you in this course. So take the risks. Let's continue growing as professionals. And I hope to see you in this course. We are going to have a lot of fun learning, sharing, and practicing for the exam. That's the most important. Okay? Thank you very much. I hope to see you in the course. Take care. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Cesar.
Thank you
Okay.
so much,
you.
Miss, for your
Bye.
great knowledge and
Okay.
your kindness.
Okay. Thank you, Milagritos. Bye-bye. Take care.